أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. First of all, I am very thankful to brother Professor Dr. Jafar al-Sharab, who very kindly helped me last week because I'm delivering a series of lectures, which is in fact a crash program, which starts at 10 p.m. Houston time, and then it goes for about 2 hours, and then there is a break, and then there are some discussions. So tonight also there was a lecture. I finished by about 12 o'clock, and then the exercise went on. Brother Masood was there, Masood Murtaza, he was there, and some other friends were there. For them, it will be a repetition. But since some of my friends have advised me that I may repeat this, and it will be, according to them, a break from whatever we have been discussing otherwise here. So with their permission and with apologies to them that it will be a repetition for them, I'm starting the discussion with these are in fact 2 slides, but I'll combine them as I combined last night, but it went to 2 hours. Here I'll combine it into less than 1 hour so that I just sensitize. The idea is just to sensitize and nothing more. The data may not be very fresh because I couldn't find reliable, verifiable latest data. That is why the data, some of the data may not be fresh, but it gives some idea. The discussion was on the topic there, the theme is economic constitutionalism and Islamic normative construct. This is the topic. And within that theme, yesterday we were discussing the charity, and then there are different topics within that. So before going to that, I wanted to sensitize on certain things, that what is our exact position, where do we stand, and what role the charity is playing in other communities, and what role the charity within the Muslim world can play. These are just now the statistics. We are starting with the statistics. There is an organization called OIC. Organization of Islamic Countries was formed in 1974, but then due to some political developments, its name has been changed. Now it's the same OIC, but its name is now not OIC, Organization of Islamic Countries, but the name is now Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Now it is cooperation, not countries. What difference does it make? The difference is that the sovereignty which the countries represented has been taken out. Now they are not working as the sovereign countries, but just as a cooperation. You remember the pressure was on the Muslim world when Khilafat Usmania failed in World War I. And then the pressure was that you will not use the word Khilafat. And they were, and the capital was also moved. Because of the battle, it had already been moved, so the capital was moved. Russia wanted Constantinople, but that was the idea, was dropped because the Turks, as Turks, they fought back. So here also the word countries has been dropped, and now it is cooperation. There are 57 majority Muslim countries in this organization. And this constitutes 23, and now because of certain adjustments in the data, which I say is not up to date, People claim that it's about 24, 25% of the population, 1/4 of the population of the world. And there are additionally minority people, Muslims living in different countries in minorities, like America, Europe, India. That is about 350 million. And the total will be around, say, if we take the latest figure, about 2 billion, nearing 2 billion. And it is, again, about 25%. The point here, which I want to make, is that there's a World Bank report which shows that the Human Development Index, HDI, it's a composite of various factors. In that Human Development Index, they have listed them according to the index. And all these 57 countries together stand at the bottom of the well. From the bottom, they constitute the 15%. They are among those 15% in HDI. What HDI constitutes? Education, women, working women, their contribution in the GDP, and so many other factors they combine to make the HDI. In HDI, 57 Muslim countries are at the bottom of the well, and I call it Ghayabat al-Jub. The light doesn't reach there. They are still at the bottom of the well, at the bottom of the zulumat, and they have not yet come out of it, which Quran had promised that I'll take you from this darkness, dark ages, to the age of enlightenment. The age of enlightenment came in the world. Muslims initially worked, provided the foundation, and on that foundation, the enlightenment was taken over by Europe. And we have gone back, we've slid back into the Ghayabat al-Jub, bottom of the well, where right cannot reach. And they've identified the factors. What are the factors? Why we are in this situation? And these are the things which always prompt me, and I say something and people don't like it. Let us see where we are. You have seen on Eid Milad taking out processions, on 10th Muharram taking out processions, sitting on camel, waving a sword. From the bottom of the well, we declare conquest of the world. We have conquered the world. Can we really do that? These are the factors. Lack of modernization. Modernization of what? Not wearing jeans, this is modernization, no. Or any other adoption of the fads and fashions of the world, that is not modernization. Modernization means the modern education, the education of science, latest education, science and technology, industrial revolution. We were not part of Renaissance. We were not part of the movement of enlightenment. We were not part of the movement of reasoning. We were not part of the industrialization. Rather, Muslim world went back. Mughal Empire was in the zone of proto-industrialization. When British East India Company then came there, they were in the they were in the stage of proto-industrialization. And China, Qing dynasty also, they were. But Europe took over. Why? Because Europe had was struggling to come out of Renaissance. And we didn't go into it. We didn't know whether Renaissance is happening in the world. And today we don't know what new changes are taking place. In poor governance, take the example of any country, Muslim country, you will find the poorest governance. And poorest governance, not only at the highest level of the state, but the poorest governance, vilayat, even at the level of the family. The concept of vilayat guardianship, custodianship, Ar-Rijal Qawamun 'ala an-Nisa, these are part of governance. That has all failed. And then backwardness, social backwardness. Economists, all economists of the world, they agree on one thing, that if you find socio-economic backwardness, negative indicators, crime, and all other things, the basic factor behind is social backwardness. Poverty. It is dominant in the entire Muslim world, even in the oil-producing countries. Nigeria is an oil-producing country, but it is one of the poorest now. Pakistan has gas, has oil, has coal sufficient to meet the needs of the world for next 100 years. So much gold. Gold. You have read in Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells that I've given you minerals and you find different tracks of different colors. You just travel on the road. For example, particularly, travel through Kirthar and you will find amazing different colors. Magnesium as lying pink. Earth, you will find tracks of hundreds of miles. Strontium is smuggled from Thana Bula Khan in Pakistan, being used in rocketry in the world. Lithium has been now discovered in Kashmir, which is now at the root of the wars, the new wars which are going to be fought not only on oil or water, but on lithium. And the war has already started around the world among the superpowers. That has been found in Kashmir. And they say they are sufficient to feed the world, the demand of the world. Still we are poor, poverty. This is the very state of affairs. Out of 52 OIC countries, 25 are amongst the 56 most power-stricken countries. Out of 57 Muslim countries, OIC, half of the countries, they are also half of the poorest countries of the world. More than 200 there. We are 50% of the poorest lot of the countries of the world, entire world, not only OIC. And we say that we'll just by hurling the sword, we'll win the world, we'll conquer the world. And the most of those are in the sub-Saharan Africa and South Africa. Most of these people who are today, some of them are superpower, or great power, or economic power, or economic giants. They all got independence after World War II. They were all together. And during that period, China got independence after Pakistan. For example, China, Korea, Singapore, where are they? And where are we? Where is the entire Middle East? They had oil. China had nothing. Singapore had nothing. It's a city. It was a port city only. Where are we? And then Europe and Japan, they lost the world wars. During World War I, Ottoman Empire, Germany, they were allies. Both lost the war, World War I. They lost the war, but within a few years, Germany again stood upon their feet and they challenged the entire world. But what happened to the Ottoman Empire? They were also defeated, but they were not able to stand up. Next time, during Second World War, which Germany started, in 1939, they were completely destroyed, but they again stood up, and they are one of the most modern powers in the world and leading power in Europe. But Ottoman Empire, one of my conclusions that we are today Muslims in this state because Ottoman Empire did not fight the Second World War. Without losing, without fighting and without losing, they lost more than Germany and any other country. And we are continuing to lose. We are still losing. From first 50 countries in the HDI, when the HDI made a list in the HDI, first 50 countries. Among those first 50 countries, only one Muslim country is there, Brunei, which doesn't matter at all. It's not because of the productive economy or because of any other strong economic factor which can be contributed to the people. And amongst the list of last 50 countries of the world in the HDI, 23 Muslim countries are there. And among those 23, 11 are the least developed countries, Fuqara, Masakin. Last week, during last 4 days, some days, there was an international conference on least developed countries, and that was the conference of the Fuqara, the Masakin of the world, and they were Muslims. Lil Fuqara wal Masakin. This is our position, and still anybody tries to wake up from the slumber, people deliver fatwas of kufr against them. This is painful. If we want to feel it, we are sentient beings. Sentient beings are those who have the feelings. Allah has given feelings that we don't feel, we don't understand. I am taking food, whereas more than 50% of the population is living below the poverty line, not just below the poverty line, just at the bottom of the Ghayabat al-Jub, the darkest bottom of the well, where the light does not reach. Human Development Report, another, estimated 285 million people, that is 26% of the population, in absolute poverty, only in Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC. And some kafir has not given this report. It's not a report from any Islamophobic person, a Muslim researcher. Poverty and underdevelopment, another research, another Muslim, no kafir. These are the figures, official figures. And in my view, since I've worked in finance, I know these are wrong figures, absolutely. But even according to these reports, you see the figures. For example, Pakistan is shown as 32.6% in abject poverty. But in my view, it is 50%, maybe more, particularly in the present situation. What is abject poverty? Prophet has defined it, that it is jurm. Abject poverty, at the level of abject poverty, where man is not able to provide two pieces of cloth to the woman, at least cover the satr. This is abject poverty. At that level, there's no concept, and there cannot be any concept of morality. What to talk of religion? Somebody complained to the Prophet, peace be upon him, the mercy of the world, at that time, that when people go into prostration, and there is some exposure. The Prophet asked that do everybody, they wanted him to ban this, that they should not come for salah, because they are disturbing others when their parts are exposed. They go into ruku and they go into sajda. Prophet asked one question: does everybody has enough cloth to wear full 2 pieces of cloth? Law cannot be passed in that situation. This is the lesson, is this. Law cannot be made for morality at that level. What is happening here? And these are different figures from different countries. Some countries. Annual Economic Report 2012. 57 countries produce, OIC countries, all of them having oil, Kuwait included, Saudi Arabia included, Iran included. All the OIC countries produce about 10 to 11%, 10% of the global GDP, world GDP. And in one of my lectures, I had repeated, I'm repeating for those who were already there, that when British East India Company came to the Indian subcontinent, Mughals, Muslim empire was producing 25% of the entire world's GDP. Entire world, 25%. And today, all 57 countries, 57 countries, 57 countries with oil and all these resources which nature has given, producing only 10%. Where is the difference? We did not join Industrial Revolution. We didn't go for automation. We didn't go for mechanization. And we didn't improve our productivity, labor productivity. And now we are in a situation, how can we improve the labor productivity? Poverty is defined as, some people define as $1 a day in some countries, $2 a day in America, $10.5 a day. But in nutrition terms, it is, if somebody is not getting 2,250 calories per day, he is living below the poverty line. If he is not getting enough energy, he is not getting enough nutrition, not getting enough energy, what does that mean? He is not able to take 3 times meal. Maybe in abject poverty, not able to take even one time meal. A person who is not able to take one time meal, and then he has to wait for the bus. If he can get it, go to the work, travel 2 hours, how much he can produce, how he can contribute to the economy. The productivity in the Muslim world, in such, particularly in those countries, is the lowest. That is why the cost of production is also very high, not only because of the wages, because of the low productivity. Average adult literacy rate is 70%. And how we define the adult literacy in our countries? There are different definitions. During General Ziaul Haq's time, it was defined somebody who can recite kalma, say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and write his name, he is literate. We are illiterate. It was about 10% points lower. The Muslim world's rate of literacy is even lower than the average rate of the world, and even from that, it is even 10 percentage points lower. But in case of the Muslim countries, sub-Saharan Muslim countries, it is more than 50 percentage points lower. And the studies show that our infrastructure is dilapidated, fiscal deficits high. You are reading every day the reports of IMF about Egypt, about Pakistan, about different countries, trade deficits. That is why dollar is going high, foreign debts increasing every day, every moment, every second. Now, this is the situation of the Muslim Ummah, particularly what we call the OIC. Now we come to another part of this presentation. I hope it works. You can share this. Has a new slide appeared here? And on Zoom, it's appearing, moving, I hope. On Zoom, Anisa?
No.
Not,
Yes.
not moving?
Yes, yes.
No, okay. Here I'll be discussing sadaqah, zakat, khairat, charity, all together. There I had discussed slightly in a different way. Let us first of all understand that we have a mindset for charity, for sadaqah. We give sadaqah when something bad happens, or we give sadaqah to avoid something bad which may happen. This is not the concept of sadaqah. Quran doesn't say that. It has a different concept. The basic basis of this concept is there are then different shades of meanings. Is that sadaqah is for pleasing God. How can we please God? We can please God by pleasing, by serving, by meeting the needs of His creation, His people, His ibad. That is sadaqah. And that is, in one word, greater good. If we do greater good to meet the needs of the people when they are in need, when somebody is in need and his need is made to please God, that is sadaqah. Even smiling for this purpose is sadaqah. Zakat addresses poverty because it is at the level of mustaqin, who have no nisab. Poor people, fukara, masakin, who have no nisab. And sadaqah addresses needs, wants, economic needs, and welfare. Whether a man is poor or he is not poor in the sense that he is not mustaq. He may have a house, he has a car, but he has a problem. He cannot get admission for his child. His child is sick. He cannot afford the medication. He cannot afford his treatment. This is the responsibility of the community. This is the responsibility of Muslim Ummah. This is the responsibility of the state. This is sadaqah. Sadaqah is to please God. If you want to please God, meet the need of the person who needs it. Even if he has a house, he has a car, he has some other thing, if he wants to save the child, he will have to sell his car. He will have to sell his house. Where will he go? These are necessities. He's in need. It is a combined responsibility. According to Quran, sadaqah is not only for the poor, but for the needy also, who need it for what? For creating economic opportunities. Kindly note this point, for creating economic opportunities, because Quran is using the word arzukuhum. It's not just atamahum, feeding them. You have to rehabilitate them, provide them resources, economic resources, providing economic opportunities, creating I will show how the West is doing this, economic opportunities. And since people may not trust these statements, that's why I've given this time some quotations also. Now I'm coming to the world situation, what the world is doing. There are different reports and there are different figures. This figure is from the National Council of Non-Profits. Non-profits, they have not used the word organization because it has a broader context. Non-profits take care of the consumer goods. Zakat is given at the consumption level. They take care of the consumer goods and services that create jobs. Urzukuhum, provide them resources. This is the purpose of sadaqah. Non-profits spend, according to one figure, research of this National Council, $1 trillion. $1 trillion. We boast, people here boast, give their charity to the masjid or give their charity somewhere. Muslims are the greatest philanthropists in the world. This is a mispropaganda. These are the figures, well documented figures. $1 trillion going into charity. Only Vatican, one Vatican, small city, state, has more than 300,000 non-profits. More than 300,000 non-profits. And behind their missionary work, they are converting also. Today, the fastest growing religion on the basis of conversion, because they are working among the people below the poverty line. The fastest conversion is taking place for Christianity. We are fastest growing because of breeding adding to more poverty without providing them education. In these countries you go, the countries which I mentioned, you find there's no place in the schools. More than 50% of these students have no place and they can't get admission. They don't go to school, they are dropouts. And then they provide medical equipment also, medical services also, medical hospitals also. Not only just food, distribution of food. This is one part. But resources, risk. Not ta'am only, but risk. And then another report, Citibank, City Corporation. They have made their own study, and according to them, the charity which they are generating and distributing is $2.3 trillion. Not $1 trillion. $2.3 trillion creates materially more in terms of total economic value. Why it creates more than the economic value? They are pumping in $2.3 trillion, but the economic value is 10 times more. It is more than $22 trillion, $23 trillion. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the economic concept that I'll explain. It's not just $2.3 trillion, but when it goes into the economy, it becomes $23, $24 trillion. This is called zakat. What is the meaning of zakat? It multiplies, it grows. Zakat means to grow. And I have been repeating very humbly that when you translate, it's not only sufficient to have the control over Arabic or Arabic of Quran. The language in which you are translating, you should have equally strong control on that language also. We are translating zakat as alms, charity, sawab. That's all. But it is multiplier. The meaning of zakat is multiplier. And in economics, they know that it has the multiplier effect, and it has 10 times. When I had studied economics as a subject, and it was compulsory at master's level when we joined civil service, at that time I had studied that is the incidence of expenditure at the consumption level, at the nisab level, at the masakin level, fuqara level. It is 9 times. But today they say it is 10 times because of the improvement in the methods and the technology. 9 times because when you give $1 in charity, in zakat, the economic incidence in the economy is 9 times that we read about 30 years back, 40 years back, and today it is 10 times. I'll show you those figures also. Last year, worth of sacrificial animals only in Karachi, one city, $1.5 billion. I had mentioned it sometimes back also. 9 million animals. But why it is not diminishing the property, the poverty? Because the way we are distributing charity, we are maintaining poverty to create more poverty. We are keeping them, the beggars, as beggars, poor as poor, and making them poorer. This is the flaw is in the method, the way we are giving. We are just giving thorn, not risk, not rehabilitating them. And not only that, but we are creating problems. When the offal is sprayed all around the streets, it takes months to remove those bones and hair and the offal from the streets. Is this the way of sacrificing, giving sacrifices? Destroying the economy on the other hand, instead of creating. We are maintaining and we are strengthening the cadres of beggars. Yesterday there was news. Every day, almost 1,000 families are entering Karachi. Why? They are coming because Ramadan is coming. Now you will find them clusters around all signals, around all highways, along all bazaar sides of the roadsides of bazaars, begging. We have created a system, throwing charity at them, loaves at them. After one bag of flour or rice, hundreds, thousands of people are running behind the truck and they don't get it. Is this the way to distribute? This is a matter of management. Aatu zakat, this is failure of art. We are not able to do the art part of it. Do the art where self-respect is not affected. Organized. Create resources. Create jobs. Provide them economic opportunities. Organize them. I'll give an example here. For example, I'm giving example of one city. It can apply to all other cities in the world. For example, Karachi has different inlets, RCD highway, national highway, super highway. These are major inlets. At the inlets, there's a lot of land. If you reserve say 50 to 100 acres of land and dedicate that land for the specific purposes that every day, every year, when the animals are brought for sacrifice, they will not be loitering in the streets. They will be brought there. Provide them a water connection. Provide them electricity connection. Provide them bricked, I'm talking of bricked floor. Provide them sheets, shades. Let the animals be sacrificed there at one place. When you say that we are doing it for the sake of God, go there. At least take make one more little effort. Then around that, establish cold storages, because everything cannot be disposed of in a moment. Around them, establish tanneries for the treatment of skin, preserve them, make leather out of it. Establish factories around them. Everything is used. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that when you sacrifice, its hair and its flesh and its blood that is not meant for me. What does that mean? We don't apply our mind into Quran. It is for you. You can utilize it. Hitler, in the concentration camps, which he has created, I've seen those factories in the those camps, concentration camps, before the bodies were sent, moving on the belt, sent for cremation. While the bodies were moving on the rollers, on the belts, if the people had teeth, their hair, or anything which was which could be removed, everything was separated. They were making different things. There's a museum. You can see those things there. Here, from the animals, we are throwing away everything. Urea, the blood from these animals, is one of the most nutritious element of urea, fertilizer. It is used as fertilizer. I've used it myself as fertilizer in my garden, my orchard, and when I had my agricultural land. But we are wasting in the streets. And around that, create jobs, packaging, preserving, marketing, and hundreds of thousands of jobs can be created, and this asset can be preserved. But what is happening? What are we doing? We are failing here on the side of Atuz Zakat. And Zakat, deliver it is a multiplier. We are failing on both. We are failing on multiplier and we are failing on At, if you can analyze it. Here, a recommendation is made by the city bank, city corporation, that we still need more cooperation, and we need to incorporate in our policies of the state, policies of the government, policies of the institutions, organizations, ISGH policy, Mariam Masjid policy, some Muslim community policy, that how we'll do this At, how to do the At, and how to do Zakat as multiplier. The translation I have said, translation of Zakat, alms giving, is totally wrong. It is multiplier, because today, because of the improved economics, it's 10%. It's 10 times. But when I was a student, at that time, it was 9 times. Now, because of the improved technology, it is 10 times. The $2.3 trillion, which has been shown by city as the contribution, is in fact $24, $25 trillion. My slides have disappeared. I have to again connect.
No. Click to your PowerPoint. It looks like. Yeah, just click.
Can you see this again?
Yes.
Can you see this again? But the point is it visible on Zoom? Are my slides visible on Zoom?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. On my screen, they are disappearing. Multiplier effect, and this we have discussed. Now we were on the slides of Sadaqah. That has disappeared. That is what I'm looking for. This one.
Click on to add title.
Now we are on Sadaqah and Zakat. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Policy making. Okay, I was on
Yeah,
this
we can
slide.
see it. Yeah, it is there. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Now the policy, we have to include it in our policy. Public policy, private policy, and coordinate it with the general policy, public sector, private sector policy, institutional policy, coordinated. It has the greatest potential. There are amazing figures. The size of the zakat, the closest translation of the word zakat according to its meaning in the root is to grow, multiply. The multiplier, the size of the multiplier, that means zakat, the size of the zakat varies greatly across regions, donations, type, and charities. They are different. There are people who give only 2.5%, and there are people who give 10%. There are people who give 15%, and there are people who give 25%. 2.5% is the minimum. Zakat is to address poverty, and it is adjustable. If the poverty line goes down, it increases. More people go below the poverty line, it means you need more funds. If the poverty line is going in deeper and deeper into from first degree, into second degree, into third degree, into chronic, into intergenerational, into abject, it means you need more funds. And from where the funds will come? Zakat is a fiscal measure. It's not a financial measure. There's a difference between the fiscal and the financial. Zakat is a fiscal measure, which means it is a state authority. Abu Bakr said that if someone doesn't pay the zakat, the state will fight. I will fight with him. Why? Because fiscal authority is the first manifestation of sovereignty. Sovereignty. At that time, this was the only fiscal measure which was available at that time, and that was zakat. And he described it that this is fiscal measure, this is the sovereignty of the state, and the state will exercise sovereignty, and I'll use force. Here, force is used to take taxes. They put people into jail. This is sovereignty, fiscal. Zakat is fiscal. And if it is fiscal, it is a state authority. There is more need. Its rate can be increased from 2.5%. It cannot be lower than 2.5%. This is minimum. It can go up. Whom we are favoring? The moneyed people who are holding the 99% of the population, of the wealth of the world today, according to, you look at the recent statements of Bernie Sanders and the latest figures available. This needs reshuffling, some changes. Our Prophet, peace be upon him, and based on Quran, gave an economic model based on income, not on credit. And in income, you make a person malik of the mal which you are giving. In sadaqah also, you make a person malik of the mal in the in that charity, and that is his income. That goes to him as income. This is multiplier effect. Around the world, the multiplier is multiplier of what is being contributed. About 10% of the world GDP goes to the charity. This is the impact. This is the volume. And we say that Muslims are the most great philanthropists. We don't count here everybody, almost, not everybody, but almost every wealthy person when dies, he is making a will of a certain portion of his wealth for greater good. Here we are accumulating everything and distributing even the will part of it, the wasiyat part of it for the family or for other people. But look at the hadith. We don't interpret these things. As I said, they interpret art separately and zakat separately. Similarly, analyze that hadith. Sahabi asked the Prophet, peace be upon him, I want to give everything in charity. Prophet said, no. He said, can I give half? He said, no. He said, can I give 2/3? He said, yes. He was asking for giving charity, sadaqah. Prophet allowed it to be given up to 1/3 for sadaqah. This is the spirit of the hadith. What does that mean? That when you die, if you are a person of means and you are making a will, it is incumbent upon you that you must make some part of it as a will for the greater good. Leave a virsa. Virasat is the wrong translation of the word tarka. It includes both virsa and virasat. And it is connected with wasiyat. Leave for your children 2/3. 1/3 leave at least as I had leave a lecture on leave a legacy, leave a legacy. Here there was a friend of ours, Mr. Brother Anwar Wadiwala had introduced me to him. He was a Jew. He's still working very hard after retirement, after 70 years. I asked him, why are you working so hard? You have one son. He said, I have left for him. Rest I am doing to leave a virsa, legacy. I leave it as wasiyat. Good hospital, good educational institution, good institution. This is virsa. This is legacy. This is wasiyat. And we are misinterpreting that hadith also. 1/3. And here 10% of the world GDP, what does that mean? If it is done properly, here it is being done almost properly, and you see its effect. How many universities and medical institutions are running on charity? Endowments which people make at the time of death, they write a will. I had proposed in one of my meetings in the SIUT, because I'm working with them on their advisory board here, that kindly print one small, simple, one-page document in consultation with some CPA, like Brother Altaf, very simple document, which meets the legal requirements, and on the back of it, instructions, put it on website, that anyone who dies out of his free will, if he wants to and make an endowment, any will for any charity, for leaving a virsa, just sign it. Deposit it with the concerned organization. Give it to any organization. Give it to ISG. Give it to anyone. And in this way, these people are collecting billions of dollars every day. Fresh dollars coming to MD Anderson. Fresh dollars coming to Johns Hopkins. Fresh dollars every year. Simple method. But on our side, it's not working. It has not been done. Leave not only a virasat, leave a virsa. And particularly your wasiyat should go to virsa also. This is the economics of Islam, the economics of Quran. This is today the multiplier, zakat. The zakat which you are giving, multiply it with 10. The economic effect is multiplied by 10. This is called, these are not my words. I've quoted this. You will find this there, formula there. 10 into multiplier, 10 into zakat. You give $1 in zakat, it's 10 times in the economy, in the economics. This is zakat, multiplier. And this is the meaning of zakat. Pakistan's gross GDP is $348.3 billion in 2021. If the world average is 10%, and if we attain the same 10%, and we claim that we are the most philanthropist people, what does that mean? 34.83 means about $35 billion every year. And for $2 billion, we have lost more than $200 billion while running after the red light of IMF. We have our own tools available, but this tool is misapplied, misused, not applied at all, rather applied negatively, that it's negatively impacting the economy. It takes months together to clear the offal from the streets of Karachi and Lahore, particularly Karachi. If every year $35 billion are injected at the consumption level and multiply it with 10, $340 billion going multiply. These are not my figures. These are economic studies of the world. Economists saying this. Why do we need IMF? If this is properly used, I've given just one example of sacrificial animals, that if you're around, give it on contract, outsource it, give it to the private sector, not to the government. They will eat away. You will create hundreds of thousands of jobs, and then something else is coming. That this multiplier has a downstream effect. It has a trickle-down effect. It has a flow-down effect. It inundates all around. How? Zakat is in the nature of fiscal. I said that zakat is fiscal, and whereas sadaqah is financial. Being fiscal, it has a state authority. This is the difference between sadaqah and zakat. One is fiscal, the other is financial. Zakat is obligatory, whereas sadaqah can be obligatory and can be voluntary also. Sadaqah has no limit, even up to the level of afu, anything which you have surplus, which you find. I'm just giving a small proposal. Every year, have a look, as in the shops you have seen, in the business you've seen, they have a look around. What is the slow moving inventory? They put it on sale. What are the things which you have not used? What are the number of shirts, garments, or anything which you have not used during the whole year? Okay, during last 2 years, give it away. This is surplus for you. Sadaqah has no limit. It can go up to off. Abu Bakr brought all the property, not even leaving anything behind. And there's a difference in the source of collection. At the level of source, there's a difference between the zakat and sadaqah. But at the level of expenditure, they overlap. Same needy person, you give him zakat, and the same needy person, you can give him sadaqah. There is overlapping. And the Quran, wherever it has given the list, it has defined that. This needs, when we say that needs policy at the state level, at the organization level, it means it needs allocative strategies. There are Muslim organizations in the world who collect millions of dollars every year, and they keep it in their account for years together. Zakat is annual. How can we justify this? And we are not spending as a multiplier. We are creating and we are consolidating the people at the level of poverty. That is why it is not working. Now, in this slide, I've tried to consolidate, precise it. Can I go further? I think I've taken some time.
I don't know.
I stop here, or can I go further?
Maybe we should stop.
Okay.
I think the people
Okay, then I stop here
Maybe
because
here
there is a
and-
proposal to stop here. I stop here, and God willing, Allah willing, if He will like, I will try to move forward from the next week, inshallah. And apologies to those who are listening to this within a short period of, say, 5-6 hours, because last night they heard me. I was speaking to Pakistan, and then some of our friends suggested that I should repeat it here. That's why I'm repeating. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzat amma yasifun wa salamun alal mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك اللهم لنا فيما أعطيت فإنك يا ربنا تقضي بالحق ولا يقضى عليك. اللهم اخرجنا من ظلمات الجهل والوهم إلى نور العلم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم اجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. اللهم اكفنا بحلالك عن حرامك وبطاعتك عن معصيتك وفضلك عن من سواك. اللهم بفضلك ورحمتك على كلمة الحق والدين. اللهم انصر الإسلام وعز المسلمين يا أكرم الأكرمين. Oh Allah, spread your mercy upon us. Shower us with your blessings. Increase our knowledge. Grant us forgiveness. And reward us with the company of the prophets in the Firdaus al-A'la. Oh Allah, forgive our parents and all our friends and relatives who have passed away. Oh Allah, make their graves garden from heaven and grant them the Firdaus al-A'la. Oh Allah, we have many of our friends and relatives who are sick. Oh Allah, we have our son Ma'raj and our daughter Aisha Wani have been sick for a long time. Oh Allah, grant all them full and speedy recovery. Oh Allah, guide our children, protect them and make them righteous. Oh Allah, we ask you every name you have elected for yourself, that none of us leave this gathering, but his pains have been relieved, his worries have been removed, his debts have been paid, his weaknesses have been concealed, his sins have been forgiven, and his needs have been fulfilled. Subhanallah wa bihamdih, عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.